Hi, how are you? In this video, we're going to talk about a very unique way of how to actually succeed in this business. And it's really, quote-unquote, on-the-job training. Let me explain to you this process called ABC. Now, ABC is a very, very unique method to do this business. A actually means advisor, B means bridge, and C means client or customer. So this ABC is a relationship between if you have invited a client to meet with your upline or introducer, you are basically playing the bridge role, the B role. Your client, definitely the C, and your introducer, the A role, which is an advisor. Now this ABC is really, really effective because you are bridging between the customer or client and the advisor. So you play a very, very vital role in this relationship. For example, if you are inviting somebody to meet your introducer to explain more about this business, there are certain things that you probably need to do to effectively handshake this client to the introducer. And we call this ABC. Okay? And you hear it quite often in the process of you doing this business. In fact, it is a duplication model by itself, because you being B, one day you'll be qualified to also be an A, and that your client C, who also now becomes the B position, introduces his or her friend to you, so you become A. So you see how that duplication process goes. Now, knowing that it is a duplication process, what we do in an ABC situation is very, very important. Let's take a look at A's role. Then A role is very important as well, not as important as B. The A role is to deliver the message, is to present the opportunity, is to share the TR90 program or the opportunity, or do a napkin BOM, or present the business. Now the A can be many things. Of course, in this case, it's a person. It's your introducer or your upline or your mentor or a senior leader or somebody, a team elite or $1 million circle member. It could be an individual, or A could be the showcase. A could be something that is bigger, in a sense that it could be something that has more authority or more credibility. A. We always like to use the showcase as an A. For example, I'd like to invite you to come and take a look at my showcase. And the showcase is very beautiful. It's like a chain. It's like a retail. It looks very, very professional, very clinical. And so that the prospect C would want to come to look at the showcase. Okay? So what I just did was to promote the showcase, or we call it tee up. Okay, so we tee up the showcase. Similarly, if you have an introducer or an upline, you would also tee up the introducer and the upline as well. So it's very, very important to know a bit about the background of the speaker, the advisor, the A role, what they've done in the past, their background, what title they are right now, maybe some interesting things about them. For example, they used to be an engine manager, or they used to work in a bank, or they used to climb Mount Everest also, you know, whatever that is, colorful. And so that it becomes more attractive for the client to want to know more about this advisor. Of course, the better you tee up this advisor, the more likely the customer would want to come and visit and learn more from him. Okay, so the advisor is very important. You as a bridge, your role is to really tee up the advisor, create the curiosity for your client, customer, to see or meet with the advisor. Of course, prior to the meeting, you definitely need to update the advisor to let them know who the advisor is meeting. You know, some background about your client, some background about what they do, why are they looking for opportunity, some concerns that they have. They're open to network marketing or they're not open to network marketing, so that A is prepared. Okay, and that's very, very important. So before the meeting, make sure you tell A all the details that you can get about C, so that he's prepared and he knows what to say. Okay? Let's take a look at B. Your role, again, as I explained just now, is to tee up or to promote the advisor to the client. Now, it's very important, this role, the bridging role, in fact, is the most important role as well. As you arrive at the meeting place, your role again is to really thank A for the time, really in front of C, because the A or advisor, he's really busy. He has many people to see, and he was able to take some time to meet with your prospect, C. So it's very important to thank A for his time. Really important to now bridge and tell A why you've brought C to meet A today. Even though A knows it, it's okay. Why? Because while you're explaining this to A with C being present, C knows what this whole meeting is about. Something that wouldn't be very nice would be to bring the C to A and say to A, I brought C, please continue talking. That wouldn't be very professional, would it? Okay? Kind of awkward a little bit. C wouldn't know what to do. A would be, well, I'm not too sure what to say now. So of course you need to be a very good bridge and handshake. So the better the handshake, of course, the better the trust between C and A is. Okay? And of course, C needs to trust A because A is going to deliver some information so that C will be listening to it and really understanding what this whole business is. Okay, so that's very important. So your role as a bridge is very important. It's really to link these two people together. Now, during the process of listening to the presentation, your role is very simple. Pay attention. Don't check your SMSs. Pay attention to the conversation. Nod if you agree with the things A is saying. Your nod also emphasizes the importance of the topic, makes C realize that you're in agreement with what A says, and that's important because C and B are close friends. C will be observing B's role and observing what he's doing. Of course, the more focus you put on A, the better C will receive the information. As B, your role is also to take notes. Why? It's a learning process for yourself as well. So you learn some of the key questions or the key explanations A is giving, because you've invited A to do the sharing. When you're taking notes, now you can take notes, and of course I advise you to also do a recording as well, also for your own learning of the whole process. So you're recording and you're taking notes really is important for yourself to develop and learn how to do this better. But as you're doing this, C is observing you as well. So when C observes you taking notes and recording, he realizes that what you're taking notes must be of something important. Thus, whatever A is sharing with C is also important. That will also increase C's concentration and attention to what A is saying. So as you're taking notes, as you're nodding, as you're agreeing, C is observing, and he's observing you taking notes, making him feel that whatever A is saying is important. Therefore, his retention and his focus is even better. Okay? Now, sometimes C may think of something, A may want to say something. You can definitely answer, and of course, but remember the meeting is taking place. So whatever you need to do, redirect the conversation back towards A again. You can always say politely and say, hey, you know what? Let's talk about that later. Let's listen to A first. Okay, you don't call him A, but just listen to this person first. Okay, so redirect the attention back to A again. Okay, this is very, very important. Now, of course, C's role is really just listening and, of course, paying attention as well. Okay, he may have questions, so what you can do is pass a piece of paper for him as well, so that he may also want to take notes, and he may have some questions along the way as well. So let him take notes. Now, as the presentation goes along, you may be asked by A to say a few words, and maybe that's an opportunity for you to maybe share your story. So A may say, hey, by the way, B, have you shared with C the reason why you're doing Nu Skin or why you're doing this business? Maybe why don't you give, share with C a bit about what happened and why you're here today. Yeah. So when that happens, now it's your chance to share, and be very, very happy and excited to share, because that's your time now to really tell your personal story to C. I'll tell you more about how to write your personal story later, but again, that's when you can inject your personal story, okay? After that is done, that's the closing. The closing really happens is, of course, A can really help you and say, there's a couple of options here for you today. Do you see the opportunity? What's one thing that most interests you today? Maybe C has a few questions. Maybe C doesn't have a few questions. Maybe C is maybe afraid to ask any questions. And if that's the case, maybe sometimes A would be appropriate that A would leave for a few minutes. Maybe go and get some water, maybe go and to the bathroom, or maybe do something for a second. And in that time between you and C and B, which is you and your friends that you brought today, it's time for you to maybe ask C a few questions. Like, for example, how do you feel? What did you like? What was most interesting for you? Here are some of the concerns that C may have. He may have budget concerns, time, busy, skill, anything, any doubts that he has. He may not like MLM. He may not like, how to approach me. He doesn't like to talk about product. Maybe, whatever concerns he may have. So you say, you know what, that's a good question. Later, when A comes back, let's ask him. Maybe he can help you explain to you further. So that's how you bridge C's questions. Right? Because C sometimes may be embarrassed to ask in front of A. So that's your job as well. So your role is to get those questions, and then when A comes back and say, A, by the way, C has a few questions. I was talking just now. He's interested. He'd like to know more, but he has a few questions. Here are the questions. And then A can then answer C. So you see how that all works together? It actually is very, very effective and very efficient. You learn the process, C observes you, so that when one day you become A, C becomes B. So he'll know exactly what to do as well. So remember, it's a very powerful duplication model. A will answer the questions that C has, offer some conclusion or some suggestions and recommendations of how to mitigate those concerns that they have. After which maybe there will be a chance A will ask C, say, well, what would you like to do? Would you like to get started? Would you like to try TRA? Would you like to try the spa? Would you like to get yourself assessed? What would you like to do now? Okay. Now, this is also a unique time for you to play your role. Now, because you know the customer better than A does, so as a B, because you brought your friend, it's your turn to really do some closing. For example, you can say to C, hey, you know what? That's how I started. So maybe share a bit about how you started and the process that you went through, so that C is more familiar. Or no, C is more, he's not surprised by what needs to do, because you've gone through the same process as well. So you kind of explain to C how you got started. Well, number one, I got the products, I tried it, and then I met up with him to get some 40-hour training done, or how to get started done, and that's how I started this business, so that he knows the process as well. So then you can also ask C, well, you know what, since you like it, if it answers all your question, why not start today? So you can offer them a way to get started and say, well, if everything's okay and you're ready to go, well, can I have your IC? Or can I have your credit card? Or maybe if they're choosing between TR90, chocolate or vanilla, say, well, what would you like? Chocolate or vanilla? Let's get started today. And that's the process. Of course, if there's questions, again, redirect the questions back to A, or if you can answer it, it's fine, you answer it as well. Okay? So that's the ABC process. If C joins, fantastic. Schedule the next meeting for how to get started training, how to get them orientated, all that you should know. Of course, if C decides to go home, or he wants to go back and think about it, which is perfectly fine as well, and he goes home, what you want to do is kind of walk them to the door, kind of walk them out, and then of course have a follow-up meeting with them, maybe a couple of days later, ask them when we can follow up again. And then come back to meet with A again. Now, this is a very important part of the whole ABC process, is to do some review with A as to what was done well, what the things that C got, review a bit, some information. Maybe A has some suggestions for you to follow up with C in more detail, and maybe talk about what can be improved further in that whole process. Okay, so that maybe you can review some of the questions that that the A asked or A answered, so that you also know how to use that in the future as well. So that's a little bit of how the ABC process works. It's very unique. Remember, tee up the advisor, thank him for his time again, connect C to A by saying, I've invited C here, C to this meeting today to learn more. C has some questions about this business. He likes, he'd like to help, if you can help answer these questions. And maybe you can tell C also that, oh, today we're very, very lucky that we get A to share with us today. A is a very, very busy person, and we can learn a lot of things from A. So that also tells C how important and how privileged we are to have A here to share today. That increases A's credibility as well. Okay, so remember, this is the ABC process: advisor, bridge, and client or customer. Okay, so learn this process well, duplicate it, and become successful. Okay, with that, thanks. I'll see you in the next video.